How you doing, mate?
Good day, mate. I'm doing all right.
Oh, let's put another race on the fucking Bobby, mate.
I'm about to bust out Shoey right now.
Ah, dude, I don't know, man. Australia, couple words. Exciting, annoying, red flags, yellow flags, botched pit stops, engine failure. What more can you ask for in a race weekend?
Overtakes, and they had those too.
No, but I mean, yep, we're back. Lockup podcast, back for the Australia recap. To say it was an exciting one is to say the very least because I mean it just got ridiculous from the starting grid to George Russell maybe getting a win to his dreams being shattered to I mean we kind of had it all in this race and
So,
uh
it might be so early to say this since there's only been 3 races, but best race so far?
actually with all the shenanigans in play, yeah, 100%. I think it's the best race so far.
I did.
Obviously, there's only been three, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, only 30, but I saw some guy was tweeting. They were like, anyone else not excited about this race? This track's usually pretty boring. I'm like, dude, they got 4 DRS zones. How's it gonna
yeah,
be boring?
wait, that dude's faded. Four DRS zones, like the cars are basically evenly matched besides Red Bull. Like anybody's on the table for it, and with this weekend, it just proves that yeah, that dude's dead wrong because it definitely had all the drama and shenanigans that you can think of on a race weekend.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the racing was super close, and I don't think Red Bull was really that much better than everyone this weekend
No,
or
no,
that
they
weekend.
showed a chink in the armor this weekend.
I mean, they were still definitely the best car out there, but like it seemed like they were having issues with getting the tires warmed up and breaking them in.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Max still complaining about like the
The
downshifts and his
downshift, yeah.
car's shifting funny and stuff like that? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on there. I'm sure there's not a whole lot to read into it, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're seeing some vulnerability because I mean, we
Checo
saw it
struggled.
now. Yeah, Checo struggled. I think this is Checo's worst Formula One weekend that he's had in his entire career. To be honest with you, he was having problems from FP1 to all the way to the end of the race.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did. I mean, qualifying was pretty poor for him. Um,
The dude couldn't. The dude did. It's almost looked like he didn't even know where the braking zone was on this track.
Yeah, but that was an engine or not an engine, but a car problem.
Was
That
it?
yeah, it
Was it?
was. That's what
Are
they were
you on
saying.
Checo's side?
I'm on
Okay,
Checo's side, definitely. I mean, that's what the whole team was saying, so I'll
that's
take their
fair.
word for it. Okay, it is, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is with that, but I mean, Australia. Just to talk about the track for a little bit before we really get into it. Like, I don't know. I felt like it's a pretty badass track. It's fast. It has long chicane corners.
Look,
Um,
Saudi Arabia, take notes. This is how you have a fast track.
a fast, safe track.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dude, but don't get me wrong. Jeddah's fast and it's very entertaining, but any of those corners. I mean, we saw the Red Bulls back to back take the runoff area on
Qualifying
Jeddah.
sucked because there was so much traffic there.
So much traffic, and the weather was kind of shitty for all of practice and qualifying.
But I will say, just side note here, I know we're talking about Australia, but did you see those renders of what their real track that they're building is going to look like?
Bruh. I that overhead picture where it's at night and it has the whole track lit up with the city around it on the coast, that is straight out of a video game.
Yeah, it looks
That
fire.
if that's a real thing and we see that in the future of I know the rumored tweet was like 2027 or something like that, but if we actually see that, that is straight. It looks like video game DLC.
Yeah,
That's what
it
it looks.
does.
That's
They got
what
an
it looks
F1
like.
DLC right there. But I mean, honestly, it makes America look broke. I'm just gonna put that out there. You saw what they
Yeah, but
pulled
we have
together.
3 races now.
Yeah, but you saw that shit show they put together in Miami that we're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
visit
true.
soon,
Uh,
probably in May. I mean, like,
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not excited for that race.
not at all. But
They're
yeah,
even adding real water.
I
Finally,
mean, yeah, they should have had that in the first place. But I mean, Australia. I thought that was a banger race. Like, shall we just jump right into it? Like, can we talk
I
about
mean,
turn
yeah,
one, lap one?
let's go to the starting grid. I mean, of course we had this was what was exciting for me. We had Mercedes at 2 and 3. We had Max
Dude,
Verstappen at first. We had Mercedes at 2 and 3, and
can,
it was coupled by Alonso. It was Ferrari and Aston Martin. It was fucking Alonso,
and then
Sainz, then
Carlos,
Stroll,
yeah.
then Leclerc. So like that's a pretty like one. Sergio is nowhere to be found. He's starting from last because his qualifying was bottled.
Yeah, his car. I mean, he had he didn't even finish in the qualifying.
No, yeah, he
Yeah,
DNF'd. Yeah.
they craned his car off that bitch.
Yep.
But dude, it was really crazy. Like at qualifying when Mercedes snuck in that 2-3 right at the end of Q3. Like I did not see that coming, and I was so shocked and I was so excited for them when they pulled that one off.
Oh, when especially with turn 1 being a right-hand turn, going into a long left-hand chicane, whoever had that first inside line, if
It
they
was,
got it past enough just to close the door on that chicane, it would have been perfect. And who better than Mr. George Russell at second place?
dude.
Really, on lap 1, I mean, we could just go to lights out. On lights out, I think that was the perfect start you could have had to that race to shut out Max on that first turn.
Yep, he really. I mean, and like I was saying, you could see the Red Bull car was. I don't know if it was that they got a better launch than the Red Bull car or that he had the better line, but I feel like also the tires played into a factor there because the Red Bull car was slow to like get the tires, acclimated for the race. Every other
Which
team seemed to be able to do it a lot quicker, but they have better. They have better degradation.
that's true.
Yeah,
Which like I find it funny considering Australia is hot as balls, and you just I understand it was raining and wet most of the weekend, but how can all these other teams find heat in their tires and grip in their tires? But like you said, they may not have found the heat or grip as fast as the other teams, but they also don't punish their tires with the amount of downforce on their car because I mean I don't know. I know Alfa Romeo has a big problem with degradation. I know McLaren has a huge problem with everything on their car. Uh,
Ferrari.
Ferrari is really bad with they have good downforce, but it's almost too much when it's not needed, and it just obliterates their tires.
Yeah,
They have too much traction. They're sticking where they want to go all the time, but since it makes it look like they're pushing all the time, and it just completely shreds the tires.
yeah. I mean, that was their thing last year. Also, outside of reliability, outside of horrible strategy calls. I mean, I do want to take a second here and talk about how good they actually were last year. To think that they finished second despite all of those things that they had going against them.
I know.
Think about that,
Yeah, think about how much easier it would have been if they just stuck to plan A.
dude. They had
Ju
literally a house
like,
of cards stacked against them, and somehow they finished P2. So that's pretty
I
nice.
know that so this year should be no different, and it should they should have learned lessons from the past, but now it almost seems like
A step
they took
backwards.
yeah, or even I would say not a full step, I'd say a half a step because it's like they have the car and it looks good when it's driving, like when it's seeing the finish line and when it's going through its paces. But for whatever reason, just like last year, it's reliability and they can't seem to keep the car running or being durable or reliable for 50 plus laps. They have
Yeah,
really good qualifying depending on the track. And once it comes race day, I think the first quarter, even half of the race, they actually look decent. But the moment mid race to end race, it's like their chart just goes plummeting down.
yeah.
I don't know why.
I gotta say this. Like, it pains me to say this, but is Carlos Sainz the number one driver right now for Ferrari?
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. Hearing those words come out of your mouth makes me want to cry.
I mean, let's look at it. Points right now, Carlos Sainz has 20 points, Leclerc has 6. He's tied in the
Oh,
standings with Nico Hulkenberg.
I
Hulkenberg.
mean, out of the 26 points Ferrari has, Sainz has 20 of them.
Yeah. I mean, quick maths on that. That's like 4/5 of the points.
Yeah, like we said, it's early. We're 3 races in, but with 3 races in, Red Bull has 123. So
No.
it's like they almost have 100 on Ferrari going in 3 races.
I
It's
said,
like
"Give me the
not
points.
good.
Give me the points. I'll take them."
it's 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 not a good look for Ferrari right now. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. 3 races in, very obviously, I know it's early. We all know it's early, but Carlos Sainz, it, they could be seeing a changing of the guard, just like I can't really give too much credit to Piastri and McLaren because the car's a shitbox. Lando's going to be good one weekend. Piastri's going to be better one weekend. They're
Mhm.
they're going to flip flop. They're going to test ideas. They're going to test setups. With Ferrari, it's been pretty consistent of Carlos Sainz being
Hey,
that guy.
I want to say I did say this during the preseason testing that Leclerc was not happy with the car. It was
100%.
more of a it suited Carlos's driving style a little bit better than his, and that was the rumors I was hearing, and it looks like these might be true. Um, During the race, there was he had that incident with Lance Stroll that took him out on lap one. Whose fault do you think that was?
I mean, I do have to agree that yes, it was a racing incident,
Hmm.
but
I mean,
going into
every
the
incident,
turn,
there's got to be
yeah,
blame on someone.
yeah, there has to be blame on somebody. I'm not gonna say Leclerc or what it was Sainz, right?
No, it was
No, it
Leclerc
was Leclerc
and
and
on the
Stroll.
first lap, him and
Yeah,
Stroll,
they were
yeah,
taking a right-hander.
hmm,
Stroll in Stroll's defense, Stroll didn't really have anywhere to go.
yeah,
There was nowhere for him to go, and Leclerc is pretty not notorious, but he really doesn't look at his side mirrors and doesn't really care who's next to him unless he can see them like directly next to him.
yeah,
And it was a little close. Stroll had nowhere to go. He found the back tire of Leclerc, and he gave him a little spinalla. But it's I don't know if you can really blame Stroll on that one. You can't blame Leclerc because he's just taking his line. He stuck to his racing line. He didn't see him. But
yeah,
by default, I would have to say it's Stroll's fault just because of the fact that I don't think either driver had any advantage going into the turn, and Stroll unfortunately collected his back tire. So it's kind of like, which I understand it's hard to put the blame on somebody where they had nowhere to avoid it because he kind of got sandwiched. He was a Ferrari sandwich, but
yeah,
I mean, it was either take Signs out or take Leclerc out, and unfortunately, the cards stacked against Leclerc, and he got a little spinalla, and off to the rest of the race. But
yeah.
I I just don't know. It's really hard to like give a clear cut blame on that one.
Okay. Yeah, so I missed the first 8 laps. I tuned in right in time to see Albon spin out and cause another yellow flag, which turned into a
Yeah,
red flag because of debris on the track. But
yeah.
let's just finish up the Ferrari talk right now while we're here. Um, Carlos Sainz tried to get revenge on the Aston Martin at the end of the race. What are your thoughts on that penalty?
I mean, in
And
my opinion, I agree with Carlos. I agree
let's
with
tell them what
Carlos with
happened
him making
also
a big
though,
deal.
for
Yeah.
those that didn't see. Very end of the race, there was another red flag. There was like 3 red flags in this
There's
race.
3 total, like 1 at the beginning of the race and then 2 literally at the last 5 laps.
Yeah, and so on the they did a dead like full restart from the grid, and coming into the first lap or first turn, Carlos collected Alonso's back tire
He
and
did.
spun his ass out. And then they they did another restart because that happened. There was like another crash there, and then we had the two Alpine drivers collide with each other into the
Yeah,
barrier.
which we'll get to that little segment because I think it's the lowest of the low Alpine can get right now.
Yeah,
But
they're definitely down bad. But yeah, so then they do another red flag. They restart. They didn't finish a full lap or even a whole sector because it was so
no,
early.
yeah.
And then Alonso's like, they have to give me my position back. I need my spot back on the grid. And then so he gets his spot back, and then they give Carlos Sainz a 5-second penalty, which puts
See,
him P12.
that's the discrepancy I didn't like. I agree with Alonso getting his spot back. Do I
Yeah,
agree with the penalty on signs? No, I do not. It was a racing incident with Stroll and Leclerc. That was a racing incident on turn one off a hard restart
Yeah,
with Carlos and Alonso. Nobody was really at fault. Alonso definitely was sticking into his line and was ahead of him, but there was nowhere for Carlos to go. He turned into him, collected his back tire, spun him out. It shouldn't have been. There were almost to a T. If they made it to turn three, I guess it's turn one, then turn two on the chicane, and then turn three down the straight. If they
yeah,
made it to turn three, it probably would have been it would have been the exact same picture perfect scenario as the first spin. So it's like, do I agree with the ruling of the FIA? No. Carlos definitely had. I mean, the dude was upset. He kept talking and talking. He didn't even want to interview after because he's like, no, I've way too much to say to the stewards right now. I'm
yeah,
like, I mean, fair enough because his race kind of got. I mean, and if anything, too, they need to wait till completely after the race to determine that because they can't determine that in the middle of the race. There's no way. There's no way you could have
yeah,
made that call on Stroll and Leclerc instantly and be definitive and make the right call, but then all of a sudden make instantly the bad call, and then it's controversy for the rest of the race.
yeah. I mean, I think that if they didn't reset the positions after that red flag for the next restart, or where would they? I guess they finished under safety car.
Yeah,
I
I
fell
mean,
asleep again
basically,
at the end.
I
But
mean they finished under safety car because it's like no, I mean, I've got another theory, but nobody wanted to see that race finish under a safety car. I don't understand. I don't trust me. I get we had two red flags at the end of the race, but let's do something. It's the third race in. Everybody's so close. If it was longer in the season, I mean, yeah, let's just put it to bed or whatever. But I still think from literally from second to 10th, everyone is close.
yeah, agreed. And I mean, even with that penalty, like maybe Carlos could have fought back a little bit and finished in the points,
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, that being said, they did the full another restart, gave everyone their positions back. I feel like adding another 5 second penalty on that's just overkill, in my
it's
opinion.
overkill.
I mean,
Give the
maybe,
positions back, leave it at that.
yeah, or like give him a smaller penalty, not 5 seconds. That's crazy.
Yeah, not a 5 seconds. I mean, maybe like a.
2 seconds, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Well, what would you do though? Because it was so late in the race, you can't do a stop and go because it's not like they're gonna pit. You
Yeah.
can't you can't do a grid penalty for the next race because you can't carry over that into the next race.
I mean, I
You
guess you could
can't.
do like a small grid penalty on the restart or something.
Yeah, but then what does that do? What does that do for like people behind him? Like say okay, say he goes down to I don't know P9 or P10 or something like that. That just notches everyone down, everyone behind him back down one. It's like I mean
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
it's odd. I
It
don't.
was
It was a
weird.
very tough call. But
Is it okay? Let's hear it.
going to my theory, what tougher call to make, and what drama-filled weekend wouldn't have been if it wasn't Michael Massey's first time maybe making a public appearance in the F1 paddock again.
Dude, did they set this up to make him look not
The
that bad?
man has the juju.
He does, dude.
He's got the juju, bro.
Yeah.
It's his first time being seen since 2021 in an F1 paddock, and we
Hmm.
have the most ridiculous last 10 laps
Yeah, that
of
was
the entire Grand Prix weekend.
yeah, that was crazy. And I mean, did you see Lando Norris his slip up the other day?
Oh yeah, he said Lewis Hamilton's eighth world champ, and before he even stopped, he was like, um, "Sorry, Max."
Dude.
Sorry.
Hey, we're all thinking it.
I mean, it's pretty commonly known. Like, I think me personally, I think Max should play into the joke, and the two little stars he has on the back of his helmet.
Hmm.
He should have the two trophies and then a little asterisk above the first one.
Okay, that'd be
That,
hilarious if you did that, but I mean, that's expecting a Dutch person to have a sense of humor.
yeah,
Come on,
you're
dude.
right. Yeah,
They're a
you're
serious
right.
group of
It's
people.
quite lovely.
That's quite lovely. Speaking of quite lovely, you had a quite lovely weekend, besides the George Russell, overtaking his ass.
I mean, yeah, but then Mercedes shoots himself in the foot, and congrats! Here comes Max Verstappen, which I
Yeah,
think Max ultimately would have caught him anyway and made a move. The race car is a rocket ship. I mean, we saw literally the previous weekend before. We saw him pass George, and it didn't even look real. It looked like he created his character at full 99, and then
He's playing
fucking
against
George was at
rookies,
7. Exactly. He turned the bot difficulty down to fucking rookie. It's
beginner,
like that.
sub
Yeah,
beginner
that's it.
level.
That's what it looked like. So even, I mean, don't get me wrong, George was racing beautifully, and he even made a little bit of a gap. But
Hmm.
then, his engine blew up. So they even had dude. He even got hoed on the pit stop. He had the first great pit stop. That means everybody else was gonna pit, and then out of nowhere he pitted. He's now P12. He's gonna climb his way up. Here comes a red flag. Everybody gets a free pit stop.
Red
It's
flag. He was
like,
like, "Oh man!" And then there was one moment where wasn't he behind, or no, wasn't Lewis right behind him? And
yeah.
Lewis was pushing, and he was. They were like, "Yeah, preserve your tires." And then he's like, "Dude, Lewis is pushing me. Like, am I pushing or what? What are y'all trying to make me do here?
He's like,
How am I
what's going
supposed to?
on here?
How am I gonna preserve if I'm getting pushed from behind?"
Yeah. If I'm getting pushed from behind, I'm defending the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Which
as
in
you
turn
should.
makes me push.
Look, I will
Like,
say, I was definitely pretty harsh on the boy George Russell, but I'm starting to come around on the guy. Like,
thank you.
it
Thank
was
you.
an impressive
That's all I
weekend.
want you to do.
That being
It
said,
was a great weekend for Mercedes.
Lewis still finished ahead though, so still I'm right. But yeah, he's looking good.
Nah, you definitely you damn near got the podium exactly how it was supposed to be. I
I don't
was
even
like,
remember who I
okay.
predicted.
You predicted all three of the now I think you had Lewis and Alonso's flipped. I think you
Mm,
had P3 for Lewis and Alonso second.
I did,
Uh
yeah, yeah.
But you got, I mean, obviously Max winning. Um,
That's a
Checo
free
was going to be
gimme.
somewhere, which I thought Checo was going to have a good weekend because Australia is kind of like a city circuit, but
Hmm.
not really. It's a little bit more wide. It's like a wider city circuit. It's not as narrow.
Yeah,
Um, no, but Checo just had a horrible weekend. And then Mercedes had a horrible weekend for half of it, but they had a great weekend. But they recouped most of that DNF with Lewis getting P2.
yeah.
And seeing Lewis P2 and Max P1 again is really
Good
grinding my
nostalgia,
gears. Yeah,
nostalgia vibes.
dude.
It's nice to see that. That's a good rivalry. I don't care what anyone says. Like
Oh
them
no,
fighting
yeah.
each other makes the sport better.
I mean, let's speaking of, I guess moving past Mercedes and the top teams and seeing what's going on with them. What happened with Alpine this weekend?
I mean, okay, here's what I saw. I saw Pierre Gasly. He's the number one driver. We already expected
I
that.
100% agree.
He was going hard, and then you got Esteban Slocon, solid P12 to P8 driver, like you said. That's
I
where he
mean,
belongs. He stays there. And then
his
on that
home. Don't
restart,
deviate from your home.
yeah, just stay in your place, buddy. It's all good. But on that restart, all the crazy shit happened. I think I don't know what brought Gasly off the track, but he went wide off the track, probably because there was an incident in front of him and had to avoid. And then
Yeah.
when he came back on the track, he merges in, and then he's coming over, out to the outside to get to the barrier. You got to use the track. And then Esteban Ocon, he's notorious for this, by the way. He's pushing hard against his teammate, gets right up in a blind spot, and Gasly turns into him, and then they collide, puts Gasly in the barrier,
Yep.
takes them both out of the race. And people are like, well, Gasly turned into him. And I'm like, okay, sure he did, but why is Ocon pushing so hard against his teammate
Yeah.
after this
No,
hectic
I
restart?
I I totally agree with you. I 1000% agree with you. I don't think Gasly was in the wrong at all. I watched the highlight after it happened because I did miss that part. I saw was the famous picture of both Alpines parked right behind each other, and they're just kind of smoking. They're all DNF and they're just parked. Boop boop, Alpine, and it's like I don't understand because you're totally right. Ocon is completely notorious for when it doesn't even matter at the time too. It's not like they're fighting for podium. It's not like they're fighting for a high points finish. They're dude, Ocon just gets on his ass and feels like okay, no matter what, I have to beat my teammate. Which I understand in F1 that it does reign true. Like there's two drivers to each team. Each driver at least wants to beat their teammate. I
Hmm.
totally get that. That's supposed to be a part of the sport. but Ocon does it so irresponsibly. There's a time to push and fight with your teammate. That was not the time. And almost every time you do it is not the time. Like it is the downfall of what your team is, bro. It's been a pain in the ass trying to pair him. I mean, just think about it. When has Ocon played nice with any of his teammates at all?
Mm,
Exactly. There's no answer.
I
It,
cannot
it
think.
goes it goes all the way back to Sergio Perez, and it goes all the way back to, I think, did Ocon and Ricardo team 1 year?
I don't know. I couldn't really tell you right now.
Wasn't it? It was because Renault had Ricardo for 2 years. He had Hulkenberg for one, and then Ocon for one. Correct? Or am I
Let me
just
see.
absolutely faded for that?
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, they were teammates. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, other than that 1 year with Danny Rick, because Danny Rick in that Renault was actually fairly good.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think he did well with any of his teammates at all. He was always that asshole that push, 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 and try to force a mistake, which in turn forced both of them to make a mistake and double DNF.
I mean, we saw even like last year, at same time frame, him and Alonso were really duking it out, like
Yeah,
hard,
like
hard
just
fighting.
unnecessarily. And Alonso's sitting there laughing because he's like, dude, I'm about to finesse this whole team.
I'm gonna toy with you this whole race, and then I'm gonna leave and cause chaos.
Yeah, but I'm also, Fernando is such a guy. I'm also going to defend blindly for you, so you can get your first win in Hungary.
Yeah,
Like
what a guy.
it's. I mean, what a guy. He played the long con. He gave him his first win, made him feel comfortable, dipped out, and went to a P2 team. It's
Oh,
like,
did you see what my guy Stroll was saying? My dude Lawrence Stroll.
no.
He,
Oh,
he's looking
Lawrence
for a
Stroll.
he's looking for a win, dude. He's not happy with just the podiums.
Oh, bro, that man's a walking fucking just. He just seeps alpha.
Seeps
He
Alpha.
he wants to win. He wants to win bad. He wants to get at least. Uh,
He wants no less than first place.
oh no, he's always fighting for that. Especially with the amount of money he's putting into the facility for Aston Martin right now, he expects first place for sure.
Yeah. You know, I gave him a lot
Like,
of shit for buying a team for his son, but that's another alpha move.
I don't know. I think the next ultimate alpha move on his plate is shit canning his son.
Oh, dude. Okay, look. I w- I said it last year. I think you agreed.
Ah, I know where this is going.
Lance Stroll's the best pay driver on the grid. He's got good talent. The best of the paid drivers. He's the only one left
That's
now,
fair.
right?
Actually, yeah.
He's the last paid driver standing.
I would I would put Sergio in the mix just because he has that Telcel sponsorship, and that
Mhm.
is a lot of money, and that brings a lot of money to teams.
Yeah.
And but I do, he is on the border of kind of a pay driver, but not really. So I admit to that one. That one's good.
I'm
Nicholas Latifi's off the grid. He was a paid driver.
Mazepin's off the grid.
Mazepin, I mean, yeah, yeah, he's a paid driver. Stroll, yeah, technically he is the last of the paid drivers, and I have to admit that after seeing him since, I believe his debut was in 2017. It was 2017 with Williams, 2018 with Williams, then 2019 went to Racing Point,
Hmm.
2020, 2021 Racing Point, 2022 finally became Aston
Aston
Martin.
Martin, and then 2023 Aston Martin.
Actually, no, 2021 was Aston Martin as well. Um, but after seeing him, he definitely has skill. He definitely deserves to be on the grid at to some capacity. But with people on the table of what Lawrence Stroll could potentially have for his team, there will always be that sacrifice of course I want my son on the team. If it means he's a good driver and proves himself, like I of course I want that. But imagine who you could pair Fernando Alonso with right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
you could
just,
get a really good rookie that's proven F3 F2 winner.
you
Pair him
could.
with Alonso. Alonso's going to show him the ropes. Alonso's a good team player. He's still going to be running it. I mean, he's looking like a stud still. and you could
I mean, you
really
could have
just
gotten Mick. I mean, what about Mick in that seat?
you could have got Mick. Who's their reserve driver? Isn't it Dugovich?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You
Could have
could just
gotten him.
put
You
him
could have
in
got
there.
Phil Pality.
Yep,
You could
there
have.
you go. Could
I
have
mean,
Nico
Sarge.
Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude, I immediately go limp when his name is
you
said,
could have
bro.
got Daniel Ricciardo.
You could have. Although your
You
average
could
age
have.
on the age on the team combined would have been what, 80?
70.
Uh, high 70s. But I mean, you had veteranship, you had good driving. I mean, you see Fernando Alonso is basically still in his prime. It's like the dude is sharp as a whistle, and it's like Daniel Ricciardo could have been that, but he's got a good thing with Red Bull. Sergio Perez is going to get shit canned after this year, and Daniel Ricciardo is going to be back.
Yeah, I don't
And
see.
then if Sergio gets shit canned, then you can shit can Stroll and put Sergio on your team.
I think that if Alonso continues to stay on the podiums, and Stroll starts to fall down because he's had solid finishes
He has.
right there behind him basically. If he starts to fall off and Alonso stays on top, then you got to start thinking about it because you gotta
You have to.
championship
You
contending
can't. You
car.
you can't handicap yourself. You
You're
can't
P2 right
handicap
now.
yourself forever.
You're P2 car. You're the best of the rest.
You're a P2 car by 9 points.
Yeah, and I think what's crazy? The aspects of their car that are holding them back are the components they got from Mercedes.
I know, which is insane to say because after the dominance of Mercedes, it's like because let's see, in 2021 that was the first year McLaren went Mercedes powered and did great. Everybody was doing great off Mercedes engines. Everybody was doing great off of Mercedes philosophies. Now it's the year of the Red Bull. We see McLaren now wants to switch to Honda engines. We see like everybody wants to go to the design. I mean, green the green Red Bull. It's like it's everybody wants to go to that design now.
You know who else
So
wants to go to that design? Ferrari. Do you see their
uh,
their 3 race plan?
they just fucking they do your own thing. You had it right with the side pods. You had it right. Think about last year. You
I don't
had
know,
it
man.
right.
I don't think they did because they're I mean, look at where they are right now. They're P4. They're like 20 points ahead of McLaren.
Yeah. Oh man,
I
it's
mean, how
12
much of
to
that is bad
26.
luck though? How much of that is bad luck though?
I mean, yeah, maybe, but how can you lean on bad luck when we're only 3 races in?
They have engine reliability problems, but they also have I mean like I'm not sold on their design philosophy of the car because I mean like I liked it last year and it was good. It was like a really opposite of Red Bull, but then Red Bull really pulled away with their car
It's true.
and it wasn't even close on the straights. They had to have DRS to even sniff the tail of the Red Bull car, and as soon
That's
as they
true.
lost that 1 second gap, it was over.
Yeah, and they couldn't even gain with 4 DRS zones this last weekend.
Yeah,
So
so
it's like even with that, they couldn't do it.
I think I saw like I'll pull it up exactly what it is, but in 3 races they will have more Red Bull styled side pods.
Ooh. In it, they're introducing upgrades as they get them and not waiting for one big package.
Yeah, they're doing a new upgrade every weekend for the next 3 race weekends.
Yeah, because we're in Baku next. I know they have something for that. I think McLaren has something. Ferrari has something. Um, Red Bull's staying the same. I don't know about AlphaTauri, which they're in the shithole right now. I don't know about Alfa Romeo. Haas is doing okay because the other teams below them are just doing that much shittier. Um, I mean, Alpine had probably the lowest weekend that they're going to have as a team this entire year this past weekend. So, I mean, there's nowhere to go but up for them. So, I mean, there's that. But I guess let's get to the end of the race and our points finishers. You had Verstappen finishing first, Hamilton finishing second was a great weekend for Ferrari or
Mercedes.
Mercedes, regardless of the DNF from George, which the DNF from George wasn't his fault. So that's something at least positive to look at.
They looked solid this
Um,
weekend.
they look solid. They look good. Fernando Alonso, of course, continuing his streak at P3. That's 3 weekends a row, 3 race weekends, 333. Like that's a good stat to have. Stroll P4, the 3-4 from Aston Martin. I mean, they have to be elated with that.
Hmm.
Um, Perez P5, starting from the back of the grid from the pit lane, is pretty impressive.
Legendary driver of the day.
Uh, yeah, I know. Norris P6, he got that shit box into high points, so I can't discredit that.
He looked
Although
good.
it was ridiculous how he got there. It's just part of F1.
He still looked good though.
Hulkenberg,
He had some
yeah,
good
he did.
fighting.
He looked good. He looked good.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg, P7, cool. It's like I he's done that before. He's done it before for like it's just I don't know. I don't know.
I will
I'm
say
not.
I have to eat my words. I thought he was gonna fail and not finish in the points, but I'd like to see him do it again.
I mean, he got it. And then Piastri, Aussie, 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 fight, fight, fight. His maiden F1 points are scored at his hometown race. So
Literal
I
hometown
mean, that's
hero.
cool. Yeah, literal hometown hero. He scored his points. McLaren finished sixth and eighth, which actually, coming from the first two races, is a pretty decent weekend for them. So it's like that's good. That's good. They got cars quick, like faster and quicker and higher into qualifying. So that's good. They ended up with a double points finish, which I believe they're the only. No, there's two teams. Red Bull and McLaren were the only teams that had a double points finish this weekend. So that's
You just said
actually
Aston
pretty good.
Martin also.
Okay, Red Bull, McLaren, and Aston Martin were the only teams that had a double point finish.
It's
So
almost
that's
was
good.
Alpine.
Yeah, yeah. Try double DNF. That's not a good stat. Um, Zhou Guan Yu with the ninth place finish, and Sonoda with a 10th place finish, getting them their only point for the year so far.
Nice. Tied with
Nick DeFries
Williams.
is they just look uncomfortable over there at AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Nick doesn't look that great, honestly. I thought he was really going to try to bring it to Yuki, and I also heard he has some off-track controversy as well.
Oh,
Have you heard
explain.
about this? He's getting sued by the guy that donated him money or sponsored him, pretty much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm not sure who it was, but he got sponsored by an individual, and like in their contract, they said that if he was an F1 driver if he was an F1 driver after 2023, then he would have to give him half of his wages or whatever. And
Oh,
the
that's right.
argument is that his F1 debut was in 2022, so he was an F1 driver in 2022.
Ah, the discrepancy. I did see that. And to be honest, wagering half of your earnings is wild to me. I don't
Yeah,
understand how you would even sign up, agree to that at all. I understand funding is a lot of what makes people's F1's careers. I mean, it costs a lot of money to even just start an F4 or F3. It costs what, north of $1 million? Like it's a lot of money, but hey man, I'm desperate to be in F1. You can take half. What? What?
insane.
I'm never doing that. I'm never. And for me to think if that's before or after taxes,
I don't know, man. Don't worry about it.
like, dude,
I mean, either way you
holy
slice it, it's not
shit.
looking great.
Yeah, no, it's not. And speaking of, I guess with that one I didn't hear about. Did you hear Rocket that sponsored Williams in 2019 and 2020? They're suing because they're suing Williams because they were led to believe that Williams lied, that they told him, "Yeah, we're going to have a competitive car, you should sponsor us." And they ended up being a shitbox for 3 years.
I mean, okay, come on, dude. Like, what do you?
I mean, yeah, if you're not
Everyone
going
thinks they're
into
gonna
the
have a
season,
competitive
yeah,
car.
I agree. But
You
that's
just
some
gotta take your
off-track
L on that
controversy.
one, bro. Like, if you wanted to have a competitive car, why don't you go talk to Mercedes?
Yeah, I think Rocket is just salty. They're like, I don't know, we
They
messed up our
suck.
investment.
They suck.
we
We made a bad financial decision. Bail us out like the banks in the U.S.
that was pretty meta of you.
Yeah.
but But I mean, getting to the end of the race, let's just get to the driver standings that we have right now as they sit. We have the top 10 of Leclerc at 6 points. Hulkenberg is tied with Leclerc, if not P9 because he's finished races. Um, Norris at 8. Yeah, I know that hurts. Norris at 8. Russell at 18. Stroll at 20. Sainz at 20, which is wild. Hamilton at 38. That P2 really helped him out. Alonso at 45, back and better than ever. He's 9 points behind second place by Perez, so that's something to really look at. And then Verstappen has 69 points. Nice.
Nice.
So that's our top 10 for drivers. I mean, Red Bull with a strong 1-2. You have a real argument of Perez can really give Verstappen maybe a run for his money this year, but we'll see if team orders come into play later on this year.
We shall see. I
But
hope they don't because no one's really even close to them.
oh no, yeah, I was just about to go down the team standings. You have Williams at 1, AlphaTauri at 1, so they're tied for shit last. Alfa Romeo is at 6, Haas is at 7, and Alpine's at 8. So you have 6, 7, 8. That's going to be interesting.
Mm.
McLaren at 12 points, which, to be honest, to see them in double digits after 3 races, I'm praying to the gods that continues to be. Yeah, they're in P5. Ferrari at 26 points, and this is where it starts to get the jump. You have Ferrari at 26, Mercedes pulling away from Ferrari at 56, so they're 30 points ahead. And then you have Aston Martin at 65, which Mercedes and Aston Martin are very much like,
Battling, yeah.
they can battle. And then, of course, you have Red Bull at 123. So
Damn.
they're kind of pulling away from the pack. They with one more race weekend, if it goes exactly how they want to, they'll probably be 100 up on second place.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's what. So Ferrari's strategy is to bring in the upgrades. They said that they don't think it. They know it won't bring them into the fight for the championship, but they want to be the second best car this year. So they're going.
Yeah,
They're going for.
absolutely.
They're going for broke.
But yeah, I mean that rounds out how we stand in the F1 season this year, and it's getting pretty competitive. Obviously, we have Red Bull pulling away, but we have a battle for P2, P3, P4. Then we have a battle for
Eight,
P5,
7,
P6,
6.
P7, eighth, and then we have the 2 shit boxes at the bottom, seeing who can score the least amount of points this year. But that's Australia. It was a drama filled one. Shout out Michael Massey, and we're in Baku next. We have some early predictions for Baku. I mean, we have a city circuit, so Sergio's got to be on the podium somewhere.
Yeah, let's get Checo back in that title fight.
Let's get Checo back in the title fight. But no, I mean that'll be it for us tonight. Please look at the description for all our links. We have Twitter at TLUPF1. We have Instagram at TLUP.F1. We have the YouTubes. Um, I mean, Chris is really helping me out on editing this time, so shouts out to him. And I mean, man, I'm excited to see the upgrades in Baku. I'm excited to get to Baku, and hopefully we get another soundbite from Leclerc hitting the castle section.
Hopefully not. I love that track though. You
Hopefully
suck.
not, but it's been awesome, man. We'll catch you on the next one, and that's going to be deuces for us.